Hi guys, welcome to the final lesson in my character animation course. Today we are going to have a look at the UI and we're also going to create some really cool special effects. See you in the lesson.
Okay, awesome. Now we're going to put everything together and create this nice interactive animation where our character is standing on the treadmill. And then as we move the slider, he starts walking. And then as we go on, as we continue, he starts running. This is going to be lots of fun. So stay tuned. Okay, what I've done here is I've disabled the background because we're going to place this artboard into another master artboard where we're going to set up the UI. So let me just go into the walk animation, because you remember in the run animation we put a keyframe on the character and that's missing in the walk. So I'm just going to put that same keyframe on the Y. I'm not going to do anything to it, just so Rive knows when we interpolate between them both that there's something happening on the run cycle, and then when we go back to the walk cycle, that same keyframe is preserved. So what we're going to do now we're just going to create an idle move, and all we're going to do is we're just going to take this one, just duplicate it, call it idle, and then all I'm going to do is I'm going to take the back ankle, back toe, front ankle, front toe, all of these, just going to delete their keyframes. So we've got the guy standing there, he's just going to do this. Okay, I'm excited. So I'm going to do that. And then I just need to put the keyframes back. So I just taken out all the animation and everything. So I'm just putting in the positioning for both of them. And for the toe, the Y. Front ankle, we want the X and the Y. And then the front toe, we just want this. So this is basically this is our idle animation. I'm just going to leave it like that. Now I've forgotten something on the run cycle. It's not a major issue. We can fix it quickly. I forgot to animate the shadow. So I'm just going to do the same here. Put a keyframe on the X, and as we go down on frame 3, let's make it 90. And then go to the middle. Copy that one. Copy all of them and close the loop like that. Okay, so that's sorted out. Now we can get to the part where we start creating interaction. Now we need to set up the interaction for this guy, and we're going to use a thing called blend states. So I'm just going to create a new time layer here. I'm going to delete that one, call it blend. And then all I'm going to do here, so I'm just going to take the idle, hook it up there, and then here, I'm going to take this thing called blend 1D. Now we need an input. We need to tell Rive what number we want to have when we go to the next one. So it's going to blend between all three of these animations, but Rive needs to have an input. So let's just create this and call this number, what can we call it? Let's call it idle to run. Okay. So then we go to our blend state here. Our input that's needed is idle to run. And now we need to create 3 timelines. First timeline is going to be idle. And idle is at 0. So what that means is when this number is 0, we've got idle. Then a second one is going to be walk. And walk's going to be at 50. And then our third one's going to be run, Forest run, and that's going to be at 100. So what that basically means is Rive is going to blend these 3 animations. When it's at 0, it's going to do the idle. And then when it's at 50, it's going to go to do the walk. and then it's going to blend from the walk into the run up to 100. So let's just test it. I'm just going to press play on the state machine. And as you see, as I increase these numbers, now we're walking. We're walking, and then as if I go up, we start running up to 100. We'll be running. So that's really cool. Now we've created that. Now we just need to create a user interface and hook it up. And what that will do now. Okay, now I'm going to set up the UI. What I've done is I've created another artboard. This is going to be the master artboard, and then I'm going to import our little character that we animated into this one. You can see how I made the background transparent and then I copied that color over. So let's start with that. We go to this one, press N for the nested artboard. Just click on here, and then we get rigged and animated character, which is that one. And then we just center that. And now we need to animate this parameter where it goes from idle to running. And then there's a very important step that we need to do. We have to go back to this one, to the artboard where the character is animated, and then with the input idle to run, we need to click that, and this button where it says expose to parent artboard, we need to click that, otherwise it's not going to work. Then we go back to final comp. We just add a timeline that says acceleration. I can't spell today, sorry. And then we go up, select this one here, the artboard. Go to the state machine here on the right. Just drop down menu and then put a keyframe there where it says idle to run. So now we putting the keyframe on that input, and then we go there, and then we get to 1 second, we make it 100. So now we've basically set that up. Now let's create a UI quickly. Now let's create the UI. So go back to design mode, press R. This is just our rectangle for the slider. Give it some corner and center it. Let's make it black. And then we press O for circle tool. Create a little circle that's going to go in there. Maybe make it a bit smaller. Let's make it 70 by 70. Make this little guy white. And that's our basic UI. Nothing complicated. Okay, let's set up our buttons interactivity. So what we need to do here is let's go to the ellipse and just group it and call this UI button. And now we need to add a listener. So we just, with this UI button selected, we add a listener and it automatically takes that as the target. We want the pointer move. So that means when our pointer moves, something's going to happen. So we want, when the pointer moves, we want this guy to be stuck to the pointer here. So that's easy. All we do, we go to the select input, we delete that and add an align target. And then for our target, we just choose the UI button. So if I press play now, you can see this little guy follows the cursor. So this little guy follows the cursor, but you'll see if you go fast, then it stops following it. We don't want that. So there's an easy fix for that. We just need to go into design mode. Now this ellipse, this white ellipse, just duplicate that and make it bigger, make it 250% bigger. Then just click that button there so it makes both of them bigger, X and Y. And then we just go here and disable the fill. And we can just call this hit area or something like that. Now if we go back and play this, you see, even if I go fast, it still follows it if I go out of it. So if I go very fast, it goes out, but it follows it easier. Now we need to constrain this little button to this area. And we're going to do that by adding a translation constraint. So in design mode, we go to our UI button and just add a translation constraint. Then we open this up. Okay, and basically the translation constraint, what that does is it constrains this object to a target object. For the target object, we want to choose this rectangle. So I'm going to choose that. So now this UI button is constrained to the rectangle. And if I drag it here, I can't move it at all. But we want it to move in the X position. So I'm going to press this click here. So now it's only constrained in the Y. So I can still move it on the X position. I've disabled that. But now we want to set up a parameter, a minimum and a maximum parameter. So it's only constrained. So it can only move between this section here. So what we can do is we just go into the animate mode, press play, and then we just take this button and scoot it over there, so release it, and then we just say min here with the copy X. We just go to min, activate that, and then we just drag this until we get around about here. And then we do the same for max. I'm just going to take this button, drag it all the way out there, and I'm going to enable max, and you'll see it's goes there, and I just drag this out, drag it until we get to the right place, round about there. That's fine. Now if you see, if we click on the button, it's constrained. And that's basically how we set that up. Now we're going to link the acceleration timeline to this button. And that's very easy. We're going to use a thing called joysticks. So we go back to design mode. And then up here, you can see where that little thing is that looks like Sheldon Cooper's t-shirt. You'll see a thing called joystick, and the shortcut is J. So it's always good to remember shortcuts. So just press J. And then now we need to link the joystick to this. And first we need to tell the joystick what we want to animate. So we go here into the X-axis and we choose our acceleration timeline. It's this one we created where we accelerate the guy from 0 to 100. So once we've done that, we need to get a handle source. And we just click this button, and our handle source is the UI button. So now that's linked to that. And now if I go to animate mode, go to the state machine and play it, it should work. There you can see it working. I'm just going to make the joystick a bit wider. So basically that's easy. All I do is I go to the size here where it says width. You'll see that the height is disabled is because I don't have anything on the X. And I just going to drag it out a bit. So it's roughly the same size as this UI I've got here. And then I'm going to go back. Let's test it. So this is the idle, and then it goes into the middle, and now he's walking, and now he starts to run, and that's basically it. We've basically done. Okay, now we're just going to add one more thing. We're just going to add some special effects, some VFX. When the guy's running, I want some smoke to come out here, to just show that he's running, just like a nice cartoony effect. And we're going to do that next. And then after that, we're basically done. Okay, now for the smoke. We just go press to create an artboard. Make a artboard, just make it quite small. disable the fill and press F to zoom in, or to create a rectangle. This rectangle is going to be our mask. Just center it, and then O, Shift, select to create an ellipse, and then give it a fill of white, and then select it, clip, and then it targets the rectangle. And then for the rectangle, we just go here and press that little I to disable the fill. And then now I'm going to go into my ellipse, press Y for the anchor point tool, and just put the anchor point here at the bottom. Now we go into animate mode, go into the timeline, and call this one smoke effects, and loop, work area, make it 6 seconds and 24 frames per second to be consistent with the other ones. And then now we go over here to start on second 2 and end on second 3. So our work area is a second long. Then we go to our ellipse. We go to the first frame. We bring it over to the left side. And then we go to the last frame. We bring it over to the right side. Give it some cubic interpolation. And now I want the smoke to come out fast, and then slowly it dissipates. So we want quite an explosive effect. That's easy to set up. We just need to go to the handles then to bring the first handle up here. So this means it starts fast and then it slowly dissipates. So you can see if I press play what it looks like. Now we're going to animate the scale. So I'm just going to animate the Y. I'm going to the beginning. I'm going to animate the Y. It starts at 0. I've got the X here as well. Let me just delete the X. Accidentally, I got the X. I'm just going to go to the end and then copy the Y again. And now I want to go to roughly about halfway. If I check here on the motion path, around about here. Well, let's make it about here. We want it to be 100% again. So this is our basic smoke ball, if you want to call it that. I'm just going to go back in here. I just want to bring this rectangle up a bit. Okay, I think that's fine. So that's our basic smoke ball. Okay. Now, this is important. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to go to the last keyframe. I'm going to go one back. Then I'm going to take this last keyframe and put it there. So it's one back. And then I'm going to go back to the last keyframe. And I'm going to copy the first keyframe and put it there on the last keyframe. So what's basically happening now is it goes, and on the keyframe before the last keyframe, it ends. It reaches its end, and then it resets itself back to the beginning. So it's important because we're going to be creating loops. If you don't put that in, it's not going to work. So just copy everything, paste it, and just scoot it over to the beginning of the loop, like so. And then now what we're going to do is now we're going to copy this. So if you go here with the ellipse and you press Control D, this is quite nice. What happens is you copy the object with its animated parameters, and that's exactly what we want, because we don't want to do any double work. So let's create it. Just make 4 for now. Then the other ones, we're just going to bring them over, create some offset. And see what this looks like. So we're offsetting them. You don't need to be precise when you create something like smoke. It's a very organic thing. So it doesn't need to be mathematically precise. Okay, I'm just going to press F to frame the artboard, and then, yeah, I think this is fine. This is, maybe copy it once more. So we have the last one. And bring that one over here. That's fine. Go back into design mode, zoom out, go into our main artboard here, press N for nested artboard. Get this one. I didn't name that one. I forgot. It's called smoke effects, but it's called artboard. It's always good to name everything. So don't do as I do as I say, and rename all your stuff. I'm just going to take this one and let's put it round about there, so the smoke is flush here with his feet and it starts here. Okay, now we go to the animate mode. We go to acceleration, and we're just going to put with the smoke effect selected, we're just going to put a keyframe on the opacity. Going to make it 0. And then at the end, where the guy's sprinting, we're going to make it 100. And then select both of them, and then just make it a hold keyframe. So basically what the hold keyframe does, it means there's no interpolation with the keyframe. It's either 0 or 100, as you can see there. Okay, so now the moment of truth. Let's go test this out and see if it works. So he's walking, he's starting to run, and he's sprinting. And yeah, that's cool. I think we've created something very nice. Congratulations for sticking to the end. I hope you enjoyed this one. It was a lot of fun making. See you in the next one.